Welcome to Hillary Topper On Air, the podcast you can't afford to miss.
Do you ever feel overwhelmed? As a busy CEO, triathlete, blogger, podcaster, professor, and mom, I feel like there's not enough hours in the day to do everything that I want to do. I'm Hillary Topper, and this is Hillary Topper On Air. Today, I'm speaking with David B. Alexander. David is a licensed psychotherapist, Tai Chi Chuan master, and owner of Insight and Energy. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
so tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay. Well, I guess I had two paths that I was following in parallel for a long time. I was studying Eastern wisdom, meditation, and Tai Chi Chuan with teachers and great teachers, and deepening my knowledge of that. But I was also working in the business world, doing systems design and helping organizations fix up their flow of processes and communication internally, and using software for that. So I was doing both sides for a long time, and about 8 years ago, I decided to pretty much cut back on the business technology and systems work and focus completely on human services and psychotherapy and continuing to teach. I've been teaching the Tai Chi Chuan for about 25 to 30 years and studying for about 40 years. So I've been doing that all along, but now I'm doing all these things full time.
Can you tell the listening audience what Tai Chi Chuan is?
Yes, okay. Tai Chi is a study. It's about 600 years old. The exact origins are not completely well known in the mists of history, but it's a series of movements that the practitioner can use to focus their awareness internally and harmonize mind and body and deepen their own well-being and peace of mind through concentrated efforts. And we could talk further why that is, but that's basically what Tai Chi is.
That's really cool. So tell us a little bit more about Insight and Energy. That's your main company. Yeah.
You've probably run into this in many different circumstances. There's often two sides to everything, just like there are two sides to a coin. And in human nature and the way we live, you can divide things, if you want to, into two aspects. One is internal state of mind, well-being, health, everything that goes inside you. And then the other side of it is, how do you express yourself? How do you express who you are in the world? So insight is what helps us feel comfortable with ourselves and even to be healthy. There's a connection, mind and body. So to feel good inside, but also if we're doing something harmful outside, we can't sustain that good feeling internally. So we have to harmonize both insight and how we apply that in daily life. And then we can have a really fulfilled life.
So with Insight and Energy, what do you do to help people? And what exactly are your specialties?
I do two things. One is psychotherapy and coaching, really, which I connect up pretty closely. But that's mostly talking with people and facing difficult issues that could be work-related or very personal. And the other aspect is the Tai Chi, which I teach mostly to groups in this area of Long Island. So those are the two areas, yes.
That's very cool. So talk to us a little bit about the people in society today. I mean, people are busier than ever. How do people find that true work-life balance?
Oh, good. I was just thinking those words also, Hillary. I was going to say something about work-life balance because I think there's a big misconception that you find work-life balance by taking off enough time or
Yeah.
somehow cutting back on work, right?
Hmm.
Usually the balance usually too much work. Some people, I guess, have the other problem there: too much free time and relaxation and not enough work. That's also could be a problem. But my focus is that it's a state of mind. Work-life balance is a state of mind. When you're feeling good inside and you're at work, you're happy to be there, and you can feel you're accomplishing things and communicating with your coworkers or clients or vendors or whoever you're talking to, and you're feeling fine, and you're not getting stressed out and then coming home and saying, "Oh God, I can't take this anymore. I need to change my work-life balance." But it's really an internal state of mind where work and living are brought close together, so that the work feeds your well-being instead of taking away from it.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people I know get so wrapped up in work and they get so aggravated that it becomes part of, they can't let it go, and they can't just let it go when they're off work. How do you
Mm.
actually achieve that? Like, how do you take that negativity that you feel at work and push it aside? Or can you?
Yeah, that's another good question, because this has come up talking to people and trying to give advice or listening to them, more coaching than therapy. But there's a point, if you have a work environment or a family environment where people are so aggressive, so difficult, you can't figure it out, you can't deal with it. Sometimes you have to leave that situation as soon as reasonably possible. Not everything can be solved through not we don't all have the ability to handle every single situation and stay calm and serene. So sometimes we have to change our environment. Okay, that's one thing. The other is really to have practices where you set aside time, where you slow yourself down and you take care of yourself. And I was, I would say the three things that come to mind are being in therapy. Of course, I would say that, right? But sometimes there are emotional things that are very hard to release without having someone to talk to, and a skilled therapist is better than talking to your friends who say, "Oh, just get over it. What the heck? Why are you worried about that?" So,
Mhm.
when you want to really deal with something difficult, therapy can help. But aside from that, meditation and Tai Chi, and these are from my own experience, they really help you shift your state of mind, your where you're centered at, and you can come to meditate or practice Tai Chi, and 20 minutes or an hour later, you feel totally different, refreshed, and all the anxiety and the worries seem to dissipate. It's we really create our own world around us. Each person creates their experience of the world. So, I mean, there is reality. There are people who can challenge us a lot, or work situations, or overwork. But once we put that under control, we have a lot of ability to shape our own experience. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, I think about people who I talk to on a semi-daily basis, and they say to me, I don't want to go into therapy, but my life is horrible, and this makes so much sense to me, to try to just bring it back internally and meditate and do Tai Chi. And
Mm.
so that
Yes.
totally makes sense. So talk to me a little bit about how to achieve your highest potential. What does that actually mean?
Okay. So highest potential. Of course, people can have many interpretations of that. It could be purely money. And for someone who may be struggling financially just to pay bills, maybe that's their focus at that moment, which makes sense. But overall, highest potential means that your ability to express yourself and make a difference in the world is optimized, because in your family, with relationships, significant others, or children, parents, even, any relationship that's important, we can have an impact that's positive, or not have much impact, or even have negative impact. So to me, and this is my bias, but to me the highest potential has to do with making a difference so that you improve the world around you.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Totally. So before we move on, I just want to say that I'm so appreciative of my sponsors, and it must take 2 seconds out to thank them. I want to please support these sponsors and tell them that you heard about them on Hillary Topper on Air. Special thanks to Russo Law Group, Met Pro, Once Again Nut Butter, and Fortune Off Fine Jewelry. So David, back to you. How do you figure out your priorities, to streamline your life? That was hard to say.
You're saying how do I personally do it, or how can people do it in general?
How can people do it? Yeah.
Let me just absorb the question first. Let me step back just a little bit from. I think the question is the one that most people think about first, is what do I need to change?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to point something out that, again, we create our experience. So it's that space. For example, I guess I could say, when you ask that question, I could just jump in and say, oh, you make priorities, you set your time limits, you make sure you talk to all the people who are important. But actually, I want to absorb the reason for your question and what will be most meaningful in my reply. So I'm creating some space for myself also. And I feel less hectic. The problem is, I think that, I learned this in training, that we have a obsessive compulsive society in the United States and most of Western societies, like in Europe, where basically it's all doing things and having a big to-do list and getting them done.
Yep.
And then you're supposed to be able to relax, right? You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't always work that way. When we're centered in our heart and mind and at peace with ourselves, we can do a lot of things, but the focus is still on oneself, of a good state of mind. So streamlining life might have more to do with shifting to a better self-perception and experience rather than some strategy. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. So there are people who talk to me about their lives and they have these bouts of depression. Do you think that depression leads to that negativity? Is it really a circle?
Well, depression is typically, there are some kinds of organic tendencies towards depression that some people have. And, there's a place for everyone, whether slow and methodical or very quick moving, and that's, genetic diversity. But in terms of our experiences and what causes depression, I don't see it as a circle, but it's one way of handling, suppressing one's own energy because it feels too dangerous to express and be spontaneous and energetic. So depression is turning your energy against yourself, or not being sure how to use your own energy, and it gets stuck inside, and then it's experienced as inability to take action. So negativity is a casual term that it's more like, is a person feeling fulfilled? Are they having a productive life where they feel they're doing things that they value and other people value, right?
Absolutely. So walk me through the process, okay? Someone comes into your office and they hire you to help them through insight and energy. Can you take us through that process of what happens?
Yes, and if I could treat and talk to people and they'd feel completely cured in 5 minutes, that would be great. But the process is probably repeating these kind of interactions over and over, and over time things change.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I first meet somebody who comes for therapy, I'll ask them what brings them here. So they might explain they're feeling anxious, they're feeling depressed, they're angry all the time, whatever the experience is, or they can't get ahead in life, they can't find a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get to know them, you keep listening and asking some questions at what's happened up to now, and you start to get to know them. And you can ask some deeper questions because it's therapy. You wouldn't normally ask in casual conversation. Why were your parents divorced? What did that feel
Mm-hmm.
like?
Right.
What do you think of it now? Are you aware of what you're feeling right now as we talk about it? And gradually people are able to look inside and feel more about what's really going on inside them. And awareness is itself a curative experience. When we become more and more aware of what we think and feel, we're able to process those things, and they become a contribution to both our insight and our energy. They turn from an obstacle into a contribution towards insight and energy.
So does that lead to, one of the questions I had for you is how can work support our well-being rather than drain it?
Say that again, please.
So one of the questions I had for you was how can work support our well-being rather than drain it? Is that what you teach in insight and energy?
Well, in the coaching work, yes. And I mean, it may come up in therapy as well. Usually it's a little more on personal issues.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the number one, 2, and 3 factor in work is the relationships with the people around you. Everyone you interact with, how do you connect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're able to nurture, for example, let's say there is a person who's cranky. Let's use that word, cranky. They answer in short sentences. They never seem to smile at you. You can say, "Oh, this person is a loser. I want to get away."
Mm-hmm.
Or you could smile at them and say, "How are you feeling? How are you?" Or, "Oh, you did a great job on this or that," or just something so that they feel a little better. And you don't have to overdo it either, but something genuine, and you start, relating, and they may start to light up. It's amazing how quickly people can change when they feel seen and appreciated. So as you create more relationships like that in your working life, then you're in a community of almost like friends, and it changes the whole experience.
I love that. That's awesome. That's so true. Quickly switching gears, as a business owner, I love to hear advice from other entrepreneurs. Do you have any advice for small business owners?
I think that's a big question, right? It's a big question for small business owners. I mean, there's a lot there, It could be, what are your goals for your business? What kind of products do you need to make that will find the market? Or how do you find the right market for a product that you already have? Those are more of the technical questions. And I have done some work in those areas, but that's not my main focus. Then there's another aspect, which is, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you have a few people working for you. How do you motivate them? And there's some really good, there have been many people who've done a great job explaining how to look at your team of workers as well as clients and contractors. So I think, if I was approached for advice by an individual, I would have to see what their particular problem is, because there's a wide range of things that come up running a small business, right? I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, no, you definitely did. And then, is there anything that you would offer? I mean, I was thinking more in terms of the small business owner learning from you you about how to balance their life better. And I wonder if you have any advice for that.
Yes, I'm thinking as we're talking here, maybe perhaps the first thing I would focus on for your previous question as well as this one, I think it's important if you're doing something that your goal is not just to earn money. Of course, earning money is important. We need to support ourselves and have enough for the future as well. But it's important to spend time and reflect on why you're doing this. I mean, it may only be for money, but hopefully it's not something, I was once invited, this is many years ago, like 30 years ago, to be part of an effort to automate gambling. So people could take a credit card and sit at the table without even getting up and put a credit card in the slot and, drain their entire credit line and continue gambling. And I just decided, and it would have paid very well. And I turned it down. I couldn't see myself doing it. I didn't even have to hesitate. There are some decisions you make, and I feel that there are things that are neutral or positive, and those are all good to do. But I would stay away from anything that you feel is destructive. That's definitely so. You have to have products that you believe in, that you feel are helping other people, and not damaging the environment, I guess. And then feel, why are you doing this? Is it because you want to help your family and have financial stability? You want to be a leader and you feel good leading? As long as you know why you're doing it and it makes sense to you, then I think that's one of the ways you avoid the burnout and you have more work-life balance.
I love that. I'm telling you, you're selling me. I'm ready to make an appointment with you, David. So how can people get in touch with you and learn more about your services?
Well, I mean, they can call, email. I do have the website. I think that it's probably on the web page, but what would you like me to point to? I guess we could give a phone number now.
Sure.
Is that appropriate?
Phone number, URL.
Yes. Okay. I'll give those two things. My phone number is 718-229-2609. And the URL is www.insightenergy.com.
It's awesome. Thank you so much. Again, that was David Alexander, and he is with a company called Insight and Energy, and his phone number is 718-229-2609, and his URL is insightenergy.com. I definitely suggest calling him. I think I'm definitely going to be calling him. And I want to thank you for being on the show. I also want to thank our sponsors. They are terrific. Please go out and frequent them. Russo Law Group, they're an elder law and estate planning attorney group. MetPro, they're a nutrition and dietary company that will help you lose weight. Once again, Nut Butter and Fortune Fine Jewelry. And last but not least, I want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. If you want more information on this show or any other of our blogs, you can visit our new website at hillarytopperonair.com, or you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Mixcloud, SoundCloud, you name it, we're out there. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Can you tell the